The diagnosis came on a Tuesday. Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, the rheumatologist said, pointing to my hypermobile joints, the constant dislocations, the chronic pain that had stolen 3 years of my life. A genetic connective tissue disorder, invisible, incurable, disabling. Finally, I said, crying with relief. Finally, someone believes me. My mother sat in the corner of the exam room, arms crossed. She worked as a licensed clinical social worker at the county hospital, assessing disability claims for patients seeking Social Security benefits. She knew every diagnostic code, every assessment tool, every criteria list. I want a second opinion, she said in the parking lot. I got 4 more opinions. They all said the same thing. EDS, POTS, chronic pain syndrome, connective tissue disorder. The medical records stacked up, genetic testing, tilt table results, physical therapy notes, mobility aids prescribed. Mom's response was to stop mentioning it entirely. I started using a cane at 26, some days a wheelchair. I applied for workplace accommodations, a standing desk, flexible hours for medical appointments, permission to work from home during flare-ups. My employer approved everything. My documentation was thorough. Mom told her friends I was milking it. I overheard her at Thanksgiving, talking to my aunt in the kitchen. She can walk fine when she wants to. I've seen her. This whole disability thing is just an excuse not to work hard. I was in the next room, ice pack on my dislocated shoulder, waiting for my pain medication to kick in. At Christmas she told my cousins I was exaggerating normal aches and pains. At Easter she said I needed to stop playing victim and get on with life. Each time I tried to correct her. Each time, she smiled, and changed the subject. But I didn't know about the church testimony until my friend Jessica texted me on a Sunday morning in November. Your mom is talking about you at church. It's bad. I called her. What do you mean? She's doing a testimony about enabling versus helping. She's talking about you specifically, by name. There's like 200 people here. My stomach dropped. Is anyone recording? The church always live streams. It's on their website. I hung up and opened my laptop, found the church website, clicked on the live service button. The video loaded, buffering for a moment, then my mother's face filled the screen. She stood at the podium in her church clothes, confident and composed. Behind her, the congregation filled the pews. I could see familiar faces from years of attending before my health made it impossible. And I want to talk about the difference between compassion and enabling, Mom was saying, because I see this in my work every single day. People who claim they can't work, who say they're disabled, when really they just don't want to try. My hands started shaking. My own daughter is a perfect example. She paused for effect. Several people nodded. She claims she has this rare disease. Got doctors to diagnose her with it. Now she uses a cane, sometimes a wheelchair. She's 28 years old. Someone in the front row shook their head sympathetically. But I'm a clinical social worker. I assess disability claims professionally. I know what real disability looks like, and I'm telling you, she just wants attention. There's nothing really wrong with her. The words hit like physical blows. I watched people in the congregation murmur agreement. Some were writing in notebooks, as if this were wisdom worth recording. She can walk fine when she wants to. Mom continued. I've seen her at home, but the moment someone's watching, out comes the cane. She got her employer to give her all these special accommodations. She's working the system. A woman in the third row said, loud enough for the microphone to catch. As Christians we're called to help those in genuine need, but we're also called to speak truth. And sometimes love means telling someone to stop playing victim and take responsibility for their life. Applause. Actual applause. So I say this with love. If you have family members doing this, claiming illness for attention, don't enable it. Sometimes the most loving thing is to say no. More applause. Mom smiled, nodded graciously, and returned to her seat. I watched the entire thing 3 times, my chest tight with humiliation and rage. Then I started taking screenshots. The video player showed 847 views and counting. The comments section was full of supportive messages. Thank you for your honesty, so brave to speak truth about family. We need more of this kind of accountability. I downloaded the video file, checked the church website. They archived all sermons, organized by date and speaker. This one was already uploaded to their YouTube channel, with the title, Speaking Truth in Love Testimony, by Margaret Chen. My phone rang. My younger brother. Did you see? I saw it. What are you going to do? I stared at my laptop screen, at my mother's face frozen mid-speech. I don't know yet, but that was a lie. I knew exactly what I was going to do. I spent the next 4 hours compiling documentation, every medical record from the past 3 years, genetic test results showing the EDS mutation, tilt table test confirming POTS, physical therapy evaluations, pain management notes, letters from 5 different specialists confirming diagnosis, my workplace accommodation approval letter, even my handicapped parking placard application, approved by the DMV. Then I found the website for the State Social Work Licensing Board. The complaint form was detailed, asking for specifics. I filled in every field: respondent name, Margaret Chen, LCSW license number. I found it on the state database. Nature of complaint: ethics violation, discrimination, breach of confidentiality. In the detailed explanation section, I wrote for an hour. On November 17th, my mother, a licensed clinical social worker, publicly disclosed my private medical information to approximately 200 congregation members at Riverside Community Church. She stated that I am faking a disability, that there is nothing really wrong with me, and that I am playing victim and working the system. She invoked her professional credentials as an LCSW who assesses disability claims professionally to lend authority to her statements. This occurred despite my having documented diagnoses from multiple board-certified physicians. I am attaching comprehensive medical records, proving the legitimacy of my disability. As an LCSW, my mother is bound by the NASW Code of Ethics, which prohibits discrimination based on disability, and requires respect for client dignity. While I am not her client, she used her professional credentials in a public setting to make authoritative statements about my medical condition, a condition she is not qualified to diagnose or assess. Her statements constitute 1. Discrimination based on disability. 2. Public disclosure of family members' protected health information. 3. Misuse of professional credentials to harm vulnerable person. Violation of social work ethics regarding dignity and worth of persons. 5. Potential violation of dual relationship boundaries. I attached the video file, all my medical records, screenshots of the YouTube posting and comments, a list of witnesses who attended the service. At 11:43 p.m., I clicked Submit Complaint. The confirmation email arrived immediately. Your complaint SW 2024 9633 has been received and assigned to an investigator. You will be contacted within 10 business days. I took my evening medications and went to bed. The investigator called on day 6. Her name was Patricia Reeves, and her voice was professional but warm. I've reviewed your complaint and watched the video 3 times. I need to inform you that this is extremely serious. Your mother explicitly invoked her professional credentials to make public statements dismissing your documented disability. What happens now? We open a formal investigation. I'll need to interview witnesses, review your medical documentation, which is very thorough. Thank you, and speak with your mother. She'll be notified of the investigation within 48 hours. Will she know I filed it? The complaint will indicate it came from a family member who was the subject of her statements. Given the video content, she'll likely deduce it was you. That's fine. I should also tell you, we take disability discrimination very seriously. Social workers are specifically trained to advocate for disabled individuals, not discriminate against them. The fact that she did this to her own daughter, in a public forum, using her credentials, this is exactly the kind of case the board was created to address. After we hung up, I sat staring at my phone for a long time. 3 days later, Mom called. I let it go to voicemail. What did you do? Her voice was shaking with rage. The licensing board. Are you insane? You're trying to destroy my career because I told the truth at church. This is unbelievable. This proves everything I said. You're manipulative. You're vindictive. I deleted it halfway through and blocked her number. My father called next, measured and careful. Your mother got a letter from the state board. There's an investigation. Did you file a complaint? Yes. Silence. Then why? She told 200 people I was faking my disability. She used her professional credentials to give her claims authority. She violated my privacy and discriminated against me publicly. Dad, she humiliated me in front of her entire church. She's your mother. You could have just talked to her. I've been trying to talk to her for 3 years. She dismissed me every time. This wasn't a private conversation. She made a public speech about it, but her license, her career, should be subject to the same ethical standards every other social worker follows. He hung up without saying goodbye. The preliminary hearing was scheduled for January 8th. I received a formal notice in the mail. along with a request for my testimony. The investigator called again. I've interviewed 6 congregation members who attended that service. All confirmed the content of your mother's statements. I've also reviewed your medical records with our medical consultant. Your diagnoses are well documented and meet clinical criteria. There's no question about the legitimacy of your disability. What happens at the hearing? A 3-person panel reviews the evidence and determines if there's sufficient cause to proceed to formal charges. Given the video evidence and witness statements, I expect they'll find cause. And then we schedule a formal ethics hearing. Your mother can bring an attorney. You may testify. The board will determine if violations occurred and what sanctions are appropriate. My brother was the only family member who supported me. He sent a text on Christmas Eve. Mom's hiring a lawyer. She's telling everyone you're trying to ruin her life out of spite. Just wanted you to know. I responded, thanks for the heads up. He wrote back, for what it's worth, I watched the video. What she did was wrong. I'm sorry you're dealing with this. Those words meant more than he probably knew. The preliminary hearing happened without me, just the investigator, Mom, her attorney, and the panel. I was told I'd testify at the formal hearing if it came to that. On January 15th, I received a certified letter. The preliminary review panel has found sufficient evidence to proceed with formal ethics charges in case SW 2024 9633. The respondent, Margaret Chen, LCSW, is charged with 1. Discrimination based on disability, in violation of NESW Code of Ethics Section 4.02 Inches 2. Public disclosure of family members' protected health information. 3. Conduct unbecoming of a licensed professional. 4. Misuse of professional credentials to cause harm. A formal hearing is scheduled for March 12, 2025. The respondent's license to practice clinical social work is hereby placed under administrative review pending resolution of these charges. Administrative review, not suspended, but flagged. Any employer checking her license status would see the active investigation. My phone exploded with messages. Mom's friends from church, my aunt, cousins, all angry, all blaming me. Only Jessica texted. I testified at the preliminary hearing, told them exactly what I heard. I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself. I forwarded all the angry messages to Investigator Reeves, per her instructions. She responded, thank you. This demonstrates the public nature of the incident and its impact on your reputation. 2 weeks later, my father called again. His voice was different this time, tired, defeated. Your mother's been placed on administrative leave at the hospital. The investigation is public record. Her supervisors found out. I didn't say anything. She's devastated. She could lose everything. She chose to publicly humiliate me, Dad. She chose to use her professional credentials to dismiss my documented disability. These are the consequences of that choice. She's your mother, and I'm her daughter. A daughter with a legitimate disability that she decided to deny in front of 200 people. What did you think would happen? He was quiet for a long moment. Your brother said you have a lawyer now. The disability rights advocacy group took my case pro bono. They said this is exactly the kind of professional misconduct they work to address. Apparently, I'm not the first person who's experienced this from a medical or social work professional. What do you want from this? It was the first time he'd asked. I thought about it carefully. I want her to understand that what she did was wrong. I want her held to the same ethical standards she's supposed to uphold. And I want her to stop telling people I'm faking. That's going to cost her her career. Maybe. Or maybe she'll learn something and become a better social worker. Either way, that's not my responsibility. My responsibility is protecting myself from discrimination, even when it comes from family. The formal hearing is in 3 weeks. My lawyer Sarah Chen, no relation, has prepared me for testimony. We have the video, the medical records, the witness statements, and documentation of the ongoing harassment from church members. Mom's attorney sent a settlement offer last week. She'd attend ethics training, accept a formal reprimand, and pay a fine. In exchange, I'd sign a statement saying the matter was resolved. Sarah looked at me across her desk. Your choice, but I think we have a strong case for meaningful sanctions. I thought about the congregation members who nodded along. The comments praising her honesty, the 3 years of dismissals and minimizations, the humiliation of having 200 people told I was a faker. No settlement, I said. We proceed with the hearing. Last night, I received an email from the state board. Subject line: Additional information case SW 2024 9633. Dear complainant, we want to inform you that 2 additional complaints have been filed against Margaret Chen, LCSW, by individuals who saw news coverage of the investigation. Both complaints allege discriminatory statements about their disabilities during her assessments at County Hospital. These complaints are being consolidated with your case for investigation. Thank you for bringing this matter to our attention. I read it twice, then forwarded it to Sarah. She called immediately. This changes everything. If she's been doing this to patients in her professional capacity, not just family, the board will take this much more seriously. What does that mean? It means we're not just talking about one incident anymore. We're talking about a pattern of disability discrimination by someone in a position of power over vulnerable people. That's the kind of case that results in license revocation, not just a reprimand. I ended the call and sat at my kitchen table, my cane leaning against the chair, my pill organizer next to my laptop. Outside, traffic hummed past my accessible apartment. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This is Pastor Williams from Riverside Community Church. I'd like to speak with you about reconciliation and forgiveness. I deleted it without responding. Tomorrow I have physical therapy. Next week, a follow-up with my rheumatologist. In 3 weeks I'll testify at the ethics hearing. For the first time in 3 years, I feel like someone is actually listening.